Every week in America, babies are discarded in dumpsters or other dangerous locations, left to die. Welcome to Freedom Alive. All 50 states have enacted the Safe Haven Law, which allows women in crisis to safely surrender their newborns without facing consequences or prosecution. And Monica Kelsey has made it her personal mission to educate others on the law to do whatever it takes to save the lives of innocent babies. In 2016, Monica started Safe Haven Baby Boxes, and she joins us on this episode to share her story and how this effort is saving children throughout the nation. Don't miss our interview with her. But first, our Freedom Alert is next. Pro-life laws save babies' lives. The U.S. Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs returned the abortion issue to the people and their elected representatives in June 2022. Now 14 states have active or near total abortion bans. This has reduced elective abortions in those states down to zero. The 14 states include Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and West Virginia. While reports show many women from these states are still getting elective abortions through out-of-state travel or telemedicine, birth rates have increased in states banning abortion at all stages of pregnancy relative to states where abortion is unrestricted. This means that these bans have saved about 32,000 babies in those 6 months alone. Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina have also passed heartbeat laws. Every baby has a right to life. I'm pleased to have joining us on Freedom Alive a very special guest, Monica Kelsey. She is the founder of Safe Haven Baby Boxes, Inc. And we're going to talk about that ministry. It's an amazing ministry, one that you might not have ever thought about. Welcome to Freedom Alive, Monica.
Thanks for having me.
Monica, I certainly want to get into your story, go into the details about a Safe Haven Baby Box. But I think surprising to probably all of us is that there are laws, I want to begin with that, in all 50 states that address this issue of dropping off your baby so that that baby's life could live.
You know, every state in the nation has a safe haven law where a parent can walk up to a hospital, any hospital in America, hand them their newborn child and surrender under the safe haven law. That's in all 50 states. It started in 1999 in the state of Texas. Now we have obviously baby boxes that allow the same thing to happen, but they don't have to face anyone now. And so we're finding that some people want anonymity. Anonymity is important. And so it is working in the states that we've implemented it.
Well, I want to come back to that because I think that's an amazing revelation to a lot of people. They may not know that that's even available, that you can drop off your baby rather than abort your baby or just abandon it in a garbage dumpster. And then there's also other places like yourself with the Safe Haven Baby Box that you can do it anonymously. You may not want to confront someone, may be embarrassed, may know people that are in that particular facility. So this is an amazing ministry. I want to get more in detail about it. But before we do that, Monica, how did you get involved in this ministry? Tell us about your background and your story.
Well, you know, after high school, I joined the United States military. I spent 8 years in the military, and that's where I got my love for firefighting. And so after that, I joined the fire service, became a firefighter and a medic. But to go back a few years before that, to kind of get you to grasp why the passion comes out so strong with me, I have to take you back to August of 1972, when a young 17-year-old girl was brutally attacked and raped and left along the side of the road. And this was in 1972 when abortion was illegal in our country, even in the cases of rape and incest. And this 17-year-old girl, she pressed charges against this man who had raped her, and he was arrested and he was charged. And if that wasn't the worst of it, when her life was finally getting back to normal, she finds out she's pregnant. She was hidden for the remainder of the pregnancy, and then she gave birth in April of 1973 and abandoned her child 2 hours after that child was born. And that child was me. So I stand on the front lines of this ministry as one of these kids that wasn't lovingly and safely and legally and anonymously, you know, saved by the safe haven law. And so today, this is my legacy, and I am now their voice. And I'll tell you, it's an honor to walk alongside these parents as they choose something safe for their child. And it's another honor to walk alongside these kids to show them their worth.
Monica, that's an amazing story. I just pause for a moment on the issue of rape and incest. I know in your story, obviously, this is a traumatic situation. It's hard to imagine that what your mom faced. But you hear a lot of talk about, well, no abortion except for rape and incest. Well, that's you. That's you. It's not only you, it's 2 generations in my family. It's my father raped my sister. And as a result of that rape/incest, that sin that he did, traumatic as it was so many years ago, my sister gave birth to a child. And that child has grown up and given birth to another child, and that generation will continue. You know, when you look at someone like you and to say, well, I'm in favor of no abortion except for rape and incest, then what they're really saying is, Monica, I would be in favor of aborting you. I'd be in favor of aborting my generation. As difficult as this is, life is always the choice. And so thank you for what you're doing and the experience that you started off with, what was meant for evil. Obviously, God has turned about for good. So you were conceived by rape and then abandoned, and that's your story. How did you then move from that to military service to founding this incredible ministry?
Well, I think Christ had a hand in it, of course, from the very beginning. He knew exactly where I needed to be and when I needed to be there. And so joining the military, I think, was just part of the respect, you know, being able to respect others. And then that's where I got my love for firefighting. And so now I'm in fire stations all the time. And so for me to be the person that was a firefighter and now going into these fire stations, I already have the knowledge of them. And so it really helps me out. But I actually got to see a baby safe in Cape Town, South Africa in 2013. I was over in Johannesburg and Cape Town, and I seen this baby safe in the side of the wall. And I was like, what is this and what is it used for? And they said that women bring their babies there at night when they can't care for them or they don't want them. And they had saved 7 babies that year. And so that vision, that moment, was my aha moment, like, oh my gosh, okay, for such a time as this, am I needed to put my pain together with my story and turn it into something for others. And so that was the birth of Safe Haven Baby Boxes.
So I want to show the viewers an example of what one of these Safe Haven Baby Boxes are, and they're going to see that on the screen. In this particular one that we're seeing here, it is a latch on the top with like a plexiglass front, so you could see the fact that there's a baby inside, and you can place your baby there. And when you place your baby there, that locks and an alarm goes off so that those people in charge, first responders, hospitals, others, can come in and rescue the baby.
Yeah, you know, these babies are only in these boxes for right at about 2 minutes. And, you know, when the mom places the baby on the outside of the box, the fire department pulls the baby from the inside of the box. So basically, it's kind of a window into the firehouse. And so, you know, and with these babies only being in these boxes for roughly 2 minutes, you know, there was a baby that was thrown in a dumpster in Hobbs, New Mexico, that was in the dumpster for 6 hours before dumpster divers found this child. Wouldn't it have been so much better for this child to be in a box for 2 minutes versus a dumpster for 6 hours? And so that's what we're up against. That's what we're fighting for, is to make sure that these babies are safe and these mothers are protected. You know, we have to protect the mother as well. We can't just forget about her. We have to protect them both.
Wow, the tragedy of what you just said, finding a baby, and we've seen these stories many times where they're wrapped up, thrown in a garbage dumpster, and yet these baby boxes, you just drop them off in there. They're locked in. And I didn't realize that on the other side is the first responders, the firefighters, and they just pick it up and then they take it to safety.
Exactly. You know, it works flawlessly. Every time that we've had a baby in our box, it's worked flawlessly. You know, we make sure that these boxes work 100% of the time because we're protecting the most vulnerable of us. And so when a baby is surrendered, the fire department takes the baby out of the box, transports to the closest medical facility for evaluation, because these babies are not born in hospitals. People think that these women are taking these babies home for a couple of weeks. No, these babies that we're getting, they still have placenta still attached. Some of the cords are cut but not clamped. I mean, these babies are destined to go into an unsafe place if there isn't a box. And the boxes have no cameras. There is basically, they can just walk up and they're not going to be identified. And so that is important to some women and some men. We've had men do this as well. And so for us to be able to provide that is just a safety net for these infants and these moms.
You know, I think it's amazing that there's laws in all 50 states. I think most people don't know about that. And why is that such a secret? It's been around for a while. People can go to hospitals, other places like fire departments, and drop off their baby in person. But what you've done with the Safe Haven Baby Box is provide something where they can just do it anonymously, drop off the baby rather than killing the baby, throwing it in a trash can. This is legal in all 50 states, right?
The safe haven law is legal in all 50 states. The baby boxes are legal in 22 states. So we're working flawlessly. We're working so hard to get these in all 50 states. But the safe haven law, every hospital in America, a person can walk in and hand their child to a person and walk out. So every state in America has that. It's just the baby boxes are not across the country just yet.
Help me understand why the safe haven law would be allowed in the states, but the safe haven baby boxes may not yet be allowed. Is it just something overlooked in the statutes, where the statutes say that you can drop it off to a person at a hospital and that doesn't contemplate a safe haven baby box?
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're staying legal. In some states, it says that they're required to hand the child to a person. And so we can't, we have to change the law when it says that. But we're getting so much pushback, which is just crazy to me, that we have a law in all 50 states, but some people don't want the anonymity piece for these infants. And it goes back to these kids deserving to know their parents. And I don't disagree that a child should know their parents, but we should protect their life first and get all of the identifying information or the ethnicity information or the medical information second. And so we do get a lot of pushback from organizations that believe that these children, one, should be raised by their biological parents, and two, they should have all of this information and a parent should be required to give it.
Well, obviously, that's the ideal, being raised by your biological parent, knowing who your parent is. But what's the alternative? Not being able to live? I mean, that's just, just absurd. So it seems like this is a no-brainer. You could get these in every place around the country. How can people learn about your ministry, and how can they help in states, for example, that need to have these safe haven baby boxes?
Contact us. Now, we're not actively going out and looking for locations to do the baby boxes. The people in those communities are contacting us. Okay. And, like Houston right now, Houston has had 6 abandonments in 5 weeks. Just one city in America has seen all of these babies in a short time frame. And so the community of Houston has been calling us. We've got hundreds of people that are wanting to do something. And so we're putting those resources together for the Houston area. But just think of these lives that could be saved. 6 infants. 4 of them found deceased in dumpsters, 2 of them found alive, thankfully. But just think of the lives that are lost when somebody just turns their head and says, well, there's nothing we can do. We can just try to educate more. No, if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, you're not going to get a different result. You have to change the way these women can surrender. And that is anonymously, so they don't have fear of shame or judgment. And your website is just Safe Haven Baby Box. It's the initials SHBB.org, shbb.org for Safe Haven Baby Box, shbb.org. Yes, that's our website. And then we're also on every social media platform doing education, awareness. We put out a ton of content so that people are aware of the law. So how many Safe Haven Baby Boxes are there in the country right now? You mentioned the states. Give the number of states again, and then how many are actually in operation? So we're in 19 states currently, and today I am blessing the 260th baby box in the nation in Corsicana, Texas. So I am in the great state of Texas right now blessing this box, and we're not slowing down. We've got blessings next week. We've got blessings the week after. We will probably be at 300 boxes nationwide by the end of the year. So in those states, for example, where Safe Haven Baby Box is already permissible, it's okay under the state law, how can people help getting that information out to, say, firefighting units where they might want to have one in their facility? Well, we're working with individuals just like that all over the country that want to have a baby box in their area. And so the best thing to do is just go have a conversation with them. Say, hey, if we help fund this, if you don't have to pay anything, the city doesn't have to pay anything, would you be willing to house a baby box here so that we don't find an abandoned baby in this community? And that's the best way to do it, is just walk in. Just talk to them. They're just regular people in the fire service industry that don't want to see tragedy. They want to see, success stories. And so that's the best way to do it. But they can also contact us. We'll walk them through it. We'll put resources together. So if there's somebody else in the area that's already working on that, we'll connect those two people. We're doing a lot across this country to make sure that these are available, and the communities that want them are getting them.
This is an amazing ministry. Your ministry ought to be even known across the whole country in this very issue here, especially now as many states are, post the overruling of Roe versus Wade, passing laws that more restrict abortion. And some of these people are going to other states, for example, to abort children. Now more than ever, we need to develop a culture of life and have a safe haven for babies. Share some of the stories. For example, have you had anybody like firefighters? I can't imagine, you know, you're there in the firefighting unit and you hear an alarm, right? And so, you know, there's a baby in the box. What happens when these firefighters see this baby? And in some cases, you say they still have their umbilical cords still attached.
You know, it's pretty amazing to see the beginning of life. And so this is a good story. You know, firefighters and medics see the end of life all the time. And so a baby that's being placed in their box, it's almost like a surprise. We had one fire station that, you know, they were like, what do we do? You know, and we're like, take the baby out of the box. Like, it's just like something that they've just never had before. But it's so amazing to watch them because they absolutely become parents at that moment. It's like it's their baby. They're going to protect this baby at all costs. And it's just the love that they have for them. We had one firefighter in Ocala, Florida, that was the person who retrieved the infant, this beautiful little girl from the baby box in the middle of the night. And he ended up adopting this little girl. And so now she's going to grow up with, you know, with the guys from the fire department. I love this story because the fire department is her home now. You know, they are her family, and they proudly wear that with honor.
Yeah, she may be a firefighter when she grows up, too.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Amazing. What about some other stories of babies, and how many do you estimate so far that have been saved through this baby box?
Well, you know, we're getting babies all the time through the boxes and then also by handoff. We work to try and get these parents to hand their child to a person first. But we've had, you know, babies that were handed to firefighters at baby box locations where there's actually a box in the wall. And so 203 surrenders have come through the baby box program. 51 of those have been in the boxes itself. The others were handoffs at locations. But we don't look at success by how many babies are being placed in these boxes. We look at the success of how many babies are not being found in dumpsters and trash cans. And these women are getting the resources they need before they get to that point. You know, I was at a conference last week in Alabama where someone was standing up and they were talking and they said, we have to get information into the hands of these parents immediately when they find out they're pregnant, or we're going to be rescuing them at the end of the pregnancy. And that just stuck with me because it's true. If we don't get the information to the parents that are finding out they're pregnant in month 1 or month 2, you know, the first trimester, we're going to be the ones that are going to be rescuing these infants and rescuing these parents at the end of the pregnancy because no one told them or they didn't know. And so it's so important for us to get the education out and the awareness of every option available to parents so that they can make a good choice. Because when they make a good choice, they can live with it. You know, I'm not going to tell them what's best for them. I'm not going to tell them what to do. What I'm going to say is, this is your options. Let's choose one, and we'll walk alongside you on your journey.
So what about the woman that drops it off in person, or the man that drops it off in person? Do you reach out to them if they want? Do you refer them to other resources? Do you do anything to follow up with them? Some of them just want to be anonymous. They just want to drop it off and leave. But others may have different desires. How do you reach those, or what do you do?
Every person is different. Every situation is different. We always look at giving a hand up and not pushing them down. Whatever they need is what we give them. Now, in the boxes, so if a parent walks up to one of our Safe Haven baby boxes and opens the door, an orange bag falls out. In that bag is resources, because we're not going to talk to this parent. So we want to make sure that we get the resources in her hands. If she'll take it, some of them take it, some of them don't. But there's free counseling, and it's for however long the parent needs it. It's not like you get 5 free counselings. No, it is forever if that's what you need, because we want to be there for these parents. But there's also trafficking information, Safe Haven registry information if they want to come back and give them ethnicity information or medical information. And so just like I said before, we are all about saving them both. We want to protect mom. We want to protect baby. And whatever she needs that she chooses, you know, we want to protect her. But I get a lot of these parents, to be honest with you, that contact us that just want to talk to me. And so I become their friend. I'm not a counselor, so I can't counsel them, but I can be their friend and I can listen. And so I have a lot of these parents that have utilized our services, that have placed babies in our boxes, that now, I text every week, how's it going? They text me back, hey, I seen you on the news. It's a beautiful relationship that I have with some of these women. And I think it's because they trust us. They see us out there. They see that we're no shame, we're no blame, and there's no judgment here. And we just want to love on them. And so I'm blessed. Let me just say that. I'm very blessed.
Well, you can tell that you have a love and a passion for what God has called you to do. And he certainly has prepared you for this incredible ministry. A lot of people don't think about human trafficking, sex trafficking. Some of these young girls or women get caught up in this sex trafficking, and they're just, now dropping off their child or aborting their child because the person who is pushing them in the sex trafficking wants to continue to make money off of them. So those resources that you have available, so when they open up the baby box, they can put their baby in, but also they have the resources there for additional counseling, that they can have healing for whatever it is that they're dealing with in their life.
We don't just stop at the box. And I think that's the biggest misconception with baby boxes is we're just driving these women to these boxes and dropping them off and then forgetting about them. And that's not true at all. We love these women and we love these kids. And I think that's what kind of stands us out, from everybody else that's doing the ministry that we're doing is we really want to work with these parents so that we can help them find peace, so that they can be at peace with the decision that they've made. Yeah,
the journey just begins at the baby box or dropping off your baby. It doesn't end there. Just may begin. It doesn't end there. So how do you provide education? Do you go around the country? Do you do seminars, virtual? How do you get this information out? How do you encourage this information to be spread, and maybe other people come alongside and help?
So I train firefighters, hospital staff, and then I'm also in the schools. And so we do a ton of education and awareness. The biggest part of our education comes from social media. We have, and I know TikTok is one of these things that's very controversial, but I have to be where these women are. And so they're on TikTok. So we have over 1 million followers on TikTok, and we have women that have utilized our boxes that seen us there. And so we're educating there. We're putting it out there. We're putting boxes in all of our videos, that we're explaining these boxes to the communities, but also safe haven. But that's probably the biggest job that we have. Our job doesn't end or isn't anywhere close to ending for education and awareness, because that is such a huge job for us. So in your ministry, tell what's on your heart. What do you want to share with people that are listening, and how can they get involved to help? The one thing that I hope people take away from this when they hear us speak or when they hear us talk about these women is how much these women love these kids. There's a lot of these babies that come with notes, and some of them are just heart-wrenching, where they're telling us, how much they love this baby and that they couldn't do it. And, they appreciated the resource, of having these boxes. And it's just, their heart is so, it's one of the most precious things that I get the honor of seeing, but not everybody gets to see what we see. And I hope that what we portray with these women and being their voice, I hope people see how much they love these babies, and that they're just in a moment of crisis that you and I will never understand. And the no judgment, that's crucial for these parents. We can't judge them. We can't shame them. We have to love them and walk alongside them so that they can find peace in the decision that they make, because this is truly their decision. They had a ton of other decisions or options that they could choose from, and they chose this. And so we're going to honor her on this. And so just contact us if you want more information at shbb.org. All of our social media platforms allow messages. Feel free to message us on social media. But we're going to be there until abandonment is no longer an issue in this country.
Monica, I think you really have opened up the curtain on a lot of issues. Number one, that this even exists in all 50 states. Number two, about the anonymous option here with baby boxes. And then what you just said about these women, because people can think, negative things about these women that are abandoning their kids, and they have no care for these kids. But in fact, what you see is some of the other side, and maybe some of them are like that, but what you're seeing are people who have heart-wrenching, difficult decisions, and they think that this is the only thing. Thank God they didn't abort the baby. Thank God they didn't put the baby in a trash can. But for a mother to release a child like that has to be a heart-wrenching decision for that mother. And you see that with the notes that you have read and you just shared with us.
Well, you know, a parent is basically saying, I want what's best for my child, and it's not me. And we should honor that. You know, we should be praising her, because she could have harmed this child and she didn't. She loved this child enough to take this child to a safe place and turn this child over to people who could care for, you know, the child. And so we need to lift these mothers up. And you know, the story doesn't end at the box. People don't get to see beyond the box. And I think that's what people really need to see the hearts of these moms.
Well, Monica, your story has amazed, I think, all of our viewers, just how you were conceived in rape and you were abandoned. And through those circumstances, God changed your life and brought you into this incredible ministry. I mean, it's unlike any ministry I think we've done interviews on this program, Freedom Alive. We've not done anything quite like this. And so we've done a lot of pro-life ones. We've done a lot with crisis pregnancy centers, and a lot of other areas. But what you're doing is very amazing. I think you have done, and you are doing, an incredible service to those around the country, indeed around the world. So God bless you for what you're doing, Monica. You are the founder of Safe Haven Baby Boxes, and your website for those that want to reach you and maybe even have you speak or get counsel, how they can perhaps have a baby box in their area as well, is SHBB for Safe Haven Baby Box, shbb.org. That's shbb.org. Monica, God bless, and thank you for your ministry. Godspeed in all that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
What an amazing story of the Safe Haven Baby Boxes. Monica conceived in rape and abandoned. That tragedy has been turned into an incredible ministry, and you can see it in the passion that she shares with the Safe Haven Baby Boxes. Saving children, saving mothers, and ministering to families. Amazing. How many, before watching this program, actually realized that all 50 states allow this safe haven where you can drop off a baby in person with no consequences or no prosecution? And then how many knew about the Safe Haven Baby Boxes? This is a ministry that needs to be discussed everywhere. I encourage you to reach out to Monica, and I encourage you to speak life into your community and into your congregation. This is an incredible ministry that everyone should know about. There's no reason that babies should be aborted, and there's no reason they should be abandoned. Well, in closing, remember Psalm 127, verse 3, which says, "Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him." Our freedom is a gift from our Creator. We must never forget that and always protect it. So join us here next time where you will hear victories as well as ways you can stand up for your priceless freedom. Join us again for Freedom Alive.